Hello, everyone. I'm Stuart Reigeluth, founder of REVOLVE. Welcome to the launch of the summer issue of our quarterly magazine. Today, we're going to talk about this exciting topic of energy communities, indeed, the rise of energy cooperatives and communities around Europe. I'm joined this morning by three participants who work closely with energy communities. If each of you could please briefly introduce yourselves for our viewers to get to know you a little bit, that'd be great. Sara, please start.
Sure. Hi everybody. My name is Sara Tachelet. I'm the communications manager at REScoop.eu. REScoop.eu is the European Federation of Citizen Energy Cooperatives. So we represent energy cooperatives from all over Europe. And one of those members is here today as well. So I'm happy to pass on to Goran, maybe.
Thank you, Sara. Yeah, my name is Goran Cacic. I'm a member of Green Energy Cooperative, or in Croatian, Zelena Energetska Zadruga, ZEZ in Croatia. I am as well the president of the Cooperative Assembly. The main goal of our cooperative is to bring the renewable energy to the hands of the people. And this is something that we have been doing from 2013 onward. And there is still a lot of steps that needs to be taken, but I see a clear goal, and I think that we will reach it together with our members of community.
Excellent.
Thank you, Goran. I may jump in. So my name is Erika Svetec, as well from Green Energy Cooperative, or as we call it, ZEZ. I'm a project manager there and working towards the popularization of the subject of energy communities and renewable energy, especially solar energy in Croatia. Thank you.
Great. Thanks to the three of you for joining us today. And to our viewers, while we discuss the topic of energy communities, what you'll see is a series of images from different locations around Europe. This is the photo essay, so-called views of our summer issue, and it was coordinated with Sara and her colleague. So thank you very much again for that input. But first, before we get talking, let's have a quick flashback to 2015. And you will see here that nothing comes out of a vacuum, and our history at REVOLVE with the energy co-ops goes back to the summer of 2015 and before a little bit. But as you can see with the cover of the summer issue 2015, that's a good 7 or 8 years ago, if my math serves. We had a great cooperation there with powering communities and co-ops. I believe this photo is in Belgium, Sara, but I'm not sure. But this to say that it warms my heart to see that these years after, we've also been collaborating on different issues, and co-ops have been growing. The whole movement has actually been going. So my transition to my first question to you, Sara, is if you could give us some insights into the history a little bit of the energy co-ops and the growth in Europe and what the EU may be doing to encourage that growth as well.
Yes, thanks a lot, Stuart. And we are also very happy to see that organizations like yours, like also media players, are giving this type of model attention and visibility, because that's very important also to grow or to keep growing our movement. So indeed, cooperatives are a business model that is already very old, also in the energy sector. The picture you see on the summer issue of 2015 is taken in the UK. It's a Westmill celebration. So that was the first community-owned wind turbine there, so big celebrations. The picture on the right is also a few years ago. That was a big community energy convergence in Spain, bringing together a lot of actors from the sector to talk about the topic and also the movement, because back then we were at, at a very important moment. The European Commission had launched its Clean Energy for All package, and there were some important mentions already there about community energy, and we tried to lobby the Commission back then, and that resulted in an acknowledgement of our model. So at the end of 2019, Europe acknowledged energy communities in format of renewable energy communities and citizen energy communities. I will not go into details, but that was an important moment, because although the movement is very old, very rich, but mainly in countries like Denmark, the Netherlands, Germany, who have a long history, but in the more eastern part of Europe or the Balkans, it was a little bit more difficult to get the movement started, because there was also, it has many reasons, but there was maybe a bit of bad connotation with cooperative model or the cooperative word there. And by this acknowledgement by Europe, what happened is that actually Europe said that every European citizen now has the right to consume, produce, and sell their own energy. And that is a very fundamental right that was given to those citizens. And now we're not there yet. I think Goran already mentioned it's still a fight, it's still a struggle. But we see now, since that acknowledgement, that energy communities are popping up everywhere, all over Europe. And member states are also obliged by Europe to not only write in those definitions, because that's one thing, but also to create frameworks that enable the foundation, but also the growth of those models. So that's very important. We see it all only growing, and we did a few years ago, we did a potential study together with the University of Delft in the Netherlands, and it turns out that by 2050, around 45% of renewable energy production could be in the hands of citizens, and about a quarter of that would come through participation in a cooperative. So those numbers are important to mention, and especially in the current context, we all know there is a huge energy crisis, and there's not only a geopolitical crisis, but also an energy crisis, and so we need to meet that potential. If we're thinking of resilience, we need to make sure that we reach that potential and that we do everything. Sorry.
You were mentioning the potential and reaching that potential.
Sorry, I had a sound issue. Can you repeat?
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, okay, you can hear me. Sorry,
Yeah, no
I suddenly started hearing myself. No, the potential we need to indeed. So now it's about we see there's a lot of work still to do. So there is of course governments that need to create those frameworks, and then there is of course the on-the-ground movement, and ZEZ here today is a great example of how they are doing it. We need to increase visibility. We need to spread the model. We need to build capacity within our communities. And therefore, it's great that we see it's a European movement. So we are sharing knowledge, we're sharing expertise across borders, and hopefully this will only, this growth will only continue.
Great. Thanks, Sarah, for that intro and overview of the growth in Europe and EU support for it as well, which is important. And as we're seeing with the situation in Ukraine, the importance of energy independence is symbolized actually by energy communities and energy co-ops. So Goran, if you would please give us some insights into your experience in Croatia and how your model works. Yeah, some of the challenges you may have as well.
Yeah, I will start with the challenges, but I will conclude with the opportunities that lay ahead of us. The challenges specifically in Croatia is that we have some historical bad experiences with the cooperatives, which are kind of unique for this socialist part of countries which had influence of the socialism, where the people had negative experiences with forced entry into the cooperatives. So this is something that we need to work on, and the only way you can do it is by increasing the transparency of what is being done and how it is being done in cooperatives. So now we can see the picture of one of our projects. This was implemented in small city of Križevci near Zagreb, some 30 kilometers from Zagreb, in cooperation with the mayor of city of Križevci, who has been supportive and who provided us the opportunity to actually test one of our models. We organized a crowd investing campaign in 2 small PV power plants, which were installed on public buildings. So basically, we as a cooperative have signed a contract for renting of the solar equipment which were installed on the public buildings. And to install these equipments, we took microloans for in total 90 citizens. So basically 90 citizens invested maybe 1,000 to 2,000 euros each, with the interest rate around 4% of return for the next 10 years. And this campaign was really successful. The first power plant, we raised the needed capital in 2 weeks. And 6 months later, when we started with the second project, we raised the needed capitals for within 3 days. So basically, the first investment campaign took a bit longer because it was new. It was completely new. You needed to build the trust. So once we actually realized the model, the power plant, and the people saw that we actually did what we said that we will do, the next one was quite fast. Unfortunately, the business case was not replicable on a big scale because there are some issues whether this is a leasing model which is regulated in Croatia, or it's just renting of the equipment. So basically, we stopped until it's cleared by the national authorities whether we can actually continue with this model or not. But as I said, when we met to discuss this today's meeting, we are now working on establishing a new cooperative, which would be, dedicated to only to investments in renewable energy sources, to keep the movement clear, to keep our goals clear, and to actually be able to transparently show what we are doing with the money that our members are giving us for investment in the renewables. So I personally think that there is a big potential for, attracting people to join the cooperatives, to join the communities, but we need to, educate people more and motivate them to step out of the individualism mode, which is being pushed upon us for quite a long time, that you as yourself have to fight for yourself and to be present on the market. And we kind of neglected that we are social beings, that we need the community to thrive. And the history teaches us that none of the big improvements in the world were achieved by the individuals. It was always a group of people. It was always the community. If we go through the history, the biggest steps forward of humanity were done when there was a critical group of people which did something, which joined the resources, and this is the only way forward. So this energy crisis and transition from fossil fuels to renewables, the only way to do it is if you include every one of us in it. Either if it is not done that way, that's my personal opinion.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Together we are stronger. That's
technology.
The
technology will not. Technology without the people will not solve the problem. Technology is here. It is existing for tens of years, and without including people, it will not solve the problem. So this is the main issue that we are working on, including people, educating them and motivating them for activity.
Right. And to transition to your colleague, Erica, the part of the equation here is the big companies as well. I mean, we can't ignore the multinationals, et cetera, who also have a role in the energy transition, who have a role in digitization. Can you give us some insights, Erica, into your work with the big company
Yes,
I'm not
of
gonna
course. Yeah, it's okay.
They're actually hosting this YouTube, so it's okay. Yeah.
I would like to just to add on something what Goran said. Even though, despite all of the challenges we faced with this project, we had another project there in Križevci to build another PV power plant on a building of public library, which was very close to the this one.
Okay.
And this is like setting up the ground to test various digital options for the sharing energy, especially the models for sharing excess energy to the another building from buildings and so on. So this is a basic setup for the, let's say, testing the community models, even though this is about public building. And another a good example for the Križevci is that we set up the energy cooperative, the so-called DEZ team in Križevci, who is now leading the energy transition locally and are working even beyond the energy, because the local communities need to expand their services to be able to stand out and to receive some revenue. Regarding the digitalization and big companies, yes, of course, this is the energy communities are something that is now still in development. Everybody is trying to figure out what is energy communities, what does it have to do with me, how can I be part of it, and so on. So part of this transition is to actually educate people and to provide them as many transparent and good information about not just energy communities, but energy in general. So we have now a project to develop educational materials and informational materials for the citizens, and we are distributing them online and offline to see how they react, to get them know about the subject, and maybe to build their capacities to be able to actually lead energy community or to get some opportunities for any kind of solar jobs.
Okay, great. So the importance of communication, the importance of raising awareness with citizens, residents, individuals who, like myself, who may want to join a co-op or energy community, but we're not sure how to do so, or we're not entirely sure what it's about, or what the benefits may be, or how the model works, etc. Sara, we worked a little bit together on a communication guide that REScoop plus Energy Cities was really leading, and you have some nice tactics, some gems, as I call them, to get the message across and have people understand a bit better how the cooperatives work. So if you could give us a few minutes of what some of these tactics could be, with some takeaway messages.
Sure, thanks. And indeed, we recently launched this what we call communications guide, a community energy communications guide. And I think the most crucial thing to take away from that is that we need to understand that we have a very unique story to tell to people. I already mentioned we are experiencing a huge crisis, not only an energy crisis, but also an environmental crisis, a geopolitical crisis. There's many issues. There is energy poverty, people that cannot afford their bills anymore. So we are facing huge issues, and I'm not saying that community energy will change all of that, of course not, but it definitely is part of the solution. It can provide something positive, a positive story to people. It's a story of hope, it's a story of resilience, it's a story of empowerment, and it's a story that needs to be told. And that is very important to know. The people that are already doing this on the ground need to stand up and tell their story so it can inspire more people. And that is something very, very important. That is also the red line throughout, I would say, our guide, our publication. And then indeed, it gives some specific ideas of how to engage with your members, because that's where it starts. Energy communities are groups of people like you and me that come together and set up an energy project. A variety of energy project can be mobility, can be producing energy, can be selling energy, can be storing energy, can be everything. So it's really about the how and not about the what. And this variety of projects all over Europe, need to spread the word. That's one thing. Then that starts with involving their own community. So there's techniques in this guide about how to engage with the broader community, because it usually starts with a small group of very engaged people. And then that's the core group, we say. And then there is many way more, there are many techniques to involve the broader communities. There's tips and tricks in this guide on how to build awareness campaigns as well, to just increase the visibility in general. So yes, there is many ways to do this, and I think the core of it is that we need to understand what it can offer, the benefits it can offer to the community, to the people, and that is very important.
Absolutely. I hope that our viewers can see the links in the chat of this recording, and if not, we can share them afterwards. It's inspiring for me to listen to you guys and to think about how I could influence my commune to actually move in that direction as well. So thanks for that. And on going back to the European level, Sara, are there, have you seen an increase in EU funding through Horizon or others towards encouraging the establishment, replication, growth of energy communities? And if so, could you give us a couple of examples, please?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have seen that. I think Europe has understand the value of our model, of the community energy model, and it also understood that it can contribute to the ambitious targets they have set. So, and that is reflected in also their funding. So yeah, we see that now with the new live calls. Definitely, there are calls, there are programs focused on community energy. So, and we will soon start in October a couple of new projects. One on, for example, financing, how to at European scale, like developing different finance models for energy communities, how to unlock, because finance is one of those obstacles that many energy communities are facing because of their scale. Usually they start very small, not easy to get funding. So there is one also, and I think I'm pretty sure ZEZ is involved in that one, on how can we collaborate with local authorities. And they have, I mean, they already explained the example of Cacic, if I'm saying it right.
Yeah.
Yes. So how can how can citizens cooperatives work together with their local authorities to build energy communities and set up community energy projects? So that's another one. We are involved also in a project that will also start in October about home renovation. Like how can we enable, because this is also a huge challenge. I mentioned before, people cannot afford the energy bills anymore. Part of it is, of course, energy security of energy supply, but also the big challenge of renovating all our houses, of insulating. And we see that if energy communities get involved, they do that at neighborhood level, they go to people, they talk to people. And this is a very interesting approach to home renovations. And usually traditional companies they work with a certain group of people, let's say, people that can afford it, and it's very expensive. And energy communities, you see them working with the whole neighborhoods, being very inclusive. So it's very interesting because home renovation should also be for everyone. So this is maybe something very important to mention, and maybe not highlighted enough before. Our movement is very inclusive. So this is also a benefit. It's the idea is that energy should be there for everyone. It should be accessible for everyone, should be affordable affordable for everyone. And that is also something that energy communities are trying to do.
Okay, so strong overlap with energy transition at large and the so-called renovation wave, right? For
Sure, yeah.
how to retrofit or renovate buildings so that they, and entire communities, so that they integrate the whole renewable energy side of things.
Yeah, it's definitely an overarching, and I think Europe has understand that in their, to go back to your question, in there. Yeah. So you see in different funding programs, you see this focus on being more citizen focused. Of course, it's hard work, and we have been trying to say that also to the Commission and to the member state that this is needed, and we now see it's paying off a little bit. So hopefully that can only continue, because what Goran said, without citizens, this huge change won't be possible.
Yeah.
Goran, did you want to add to that?
I heard a good thing that I also believe it is true. Without municipalities, without cities, as well as key players, this citizen movement will not have the effect that it can. The cities are on the front line. They are the first in contact with the citizens. And in a lot of cases, citizens do trust their local municipality. They usually, in many countries, there is a direct election of the mayors. So basically, it's somebody who they trust and who have they elected to lead them as a community, as a municipality. So they have an immense role in facilitating the community movements. They have the opportunity to be the leaders, the pioneers of the community projects. In order to gather the knowledge. The first couple of communities are the hardest to achieve in any country. So once when you have 1, 2, or 3 communities, then they start talking together. And in order to make it, a big scale movement, there is no replacement for a footwork. You need to go out, you need to, tell your story. How did you achieve something? Tell your benefits that you personally experienced. And then you have the interest of the people, and then you can start building other smaller communities around the country. The EU projects, we are cooperating with REScoop on several of them, the Horizons and the LIFE projects, which Sara mentioned, which are coming now by the end of the year. They are excellent for getting the informations, for getting the knowledge which is existing in pilot projects throughout the Europe, and trying to put them in a template, let's say, so anybody could get the baseline information what needs to be done. But the biggest issue is, we are all people, we are all living in our own communities, we have our mentality, we have our local way of doing things, and that often slows down the replication of the successful model which was done in Belgium or in Netherlands or in Germany. If you try to do it in Greece or in Spain or in Croatia, it won't work if you do not adjust it to the local mentality. So as I said, there is no replacement of actual footwork, of actual going out into the communities. And my personal opinion and experience up to now is, if you don't have the active role of local cities and municipalities, local mayors as a pioneers, it slows down this movement quite a lot. So when you have the active cities and municipalities, it's much easier, because they usually have the resources. They often have the money that they can provide for making these first steps, some kind of analysis, or getting the people to do some trainings, or maybe prepare the project documentation. So basically these are, for communities, as Sara said, quite big issues, because they usually don't have money. They are not the professionals. They are just the usual regular citizens which are trying to implement in energy project that they reduce their energy bills or whatever. So they are not working it as a full-time job, and they need any kind of assistance they can receive. So, but as I said, it is going better. We are sharing the experience and getting the experience from the Belgium and Netherlands and other countries which have live projects for more than 5 or 6 years happening, and we are trying to adjust their approaches in our local environment.
Okay, great. I mean, this is super follow-up from last summer's discussion that I had with Leah from REN 21 that you guys are probably familiar with, and the whole discussion there was about the energy transition in cities. and the integration of renewables and sustainable mobility. So it's all interconnected, and the big message today is that the individual has a role to play. They now know who to turn to. If you're in Croatia, talk with Goran and Erica. If you're broader European, talk with Sara and her colleagues from REScoop. It is possible to make this transition more equitable, let's say, more just, more fair, more even, right? Than just having some big companies lead the way. So thank you to the three of you. We keep this short and sweet on purpose. We invite our viewers to visit REScoop.eu to explore their work, sign up to Revolve, join us on social media. Today's the first day of summer. We always publish on the first day of a given season. So take a look at our new issue of Revolve magazine and stay tuned for next fall, which will be on sustainable mobility on the 21st of September. So thank you all for joining us, and see you very soon.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
Stuart.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.